following program is sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer of 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. White Pine County Tourism Recreation Board meeting, January 25th, 2022.
4 o'clock.
Okay.
So we will let it go, everyone. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board. Today is Tuesday, January the 25th, 2022, 4 p.m. At this time, could we have the Pledge of Allegiance? And Kyle, would you lead us in that?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We have, as far as roll call of board members, Member Goringer, Member Henry, Member McIntyre, and Member Bullock will be joining us. So we do have a quorum. At this point, this time we'll go to item number 3, public comment. Is there any public comment on Zoom? Hearing none, is there any public comment in the convention center? And since we're in the larger room, Kyle, you probably need to have whomever it is just come closer a little bit so we can hear, unless there's a microphone.
We do have the microphone, but we will ask any public comment to come closer, please.
Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and mute myself so that public comment can go through.
Also something.
Cool.
Hello, it's Michael Couch with Great Basin Pyrotechnics. I just wanted to thank you guys for all the support, the Fire and Ice, and all the fireworks shows in White Pine County. I feel like Fire and Ice went really good this past weekend. I've heard nothing but great things, and that's pretty much it. I just wanted to thank you guys for all the support. It really means a lot to me, but also the community. I feel, it's been nonstop for like 2 weeks, so yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to have you as a partner, Michael. Is there any more public comment in the convention center?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, at your last meeting, I noticed there was a Shadrach Michaels on the payroll. Again, is he an employee of this facility? This is a second request. I'd like an answer. Madam Chairman, recently we've had snowstorms, and you have failed to remove the snow from the parking lot, and have ice melting on the west side of the facility, flowing on to the sidewalk, presenting a slip and fall hazard. I'd like to know if you received any kind of notice from the city. If you did, I'm requesting a copy. Councilman Carson, I'm concerned the city is selectively enforcing its ordinance. We don't want visitors following and getting hurt going to or from this facility. I got a notice on a piece of property that I took care of 3 weeks ago. I don't like selective enforcement. And I'm concerned about this facility in particular. I'm not blaming you. If the city's got city ordinances, they need to be fair across the board. Madam Chairman, to date, I've not received a clear answer as to why this board is paying $64 for Doris Lawler. I'm repeating myself. Also, I've not received anything in regards to the money that was given to the community choir for pitch control. Again, another item with the money that this board has given the county golf course, no reports. Some of these are going back to early 2020. I'm repeating myself again. The Nevada Northern Railroad does not operate under the Nevada Open Meeting Law. When you consider the amount of money they take taxpayer needs to know how that money's spent. Cut them off.
Mr. Chachis, excuse me.
Yeah.
We are under the mask mandate in the convention center. We need you to put your mask on because you're coughing and that is projectile. Thank you.
I've got allergies, but I can put it on. But you may want
Thank
to
you.
tell the rest of the audience now. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you for putting it on, Mr. Chachis.
Not a problem. Let's see. Madam Chairman, I've yet to receive anything in regards to that Spirit property being licensed. Again, we're going back almost 2 years on that. Not received any information in regards to different properties where there's activity. I don't know if they're licensed. I can't get a license. I'd like to know why these people can. Setting up all over the community. Again, they're collecting room tax. Did they have a permit? We need to know.
Oh no, hold on. It's not just the White Pine Room.
That's all I have to know.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chachis.
We were only down for a second, so we didn't miss anything.
Okay, all right. Is there any more public comment? Hearing none, we're going to move to number 4, new business. A, discussion and for possible.
Tell her she needs to speak up.
Postpone it until next month, since we've had proper time to review the documentation. We'll go this afternoon.
Okay, this would be item G is discussion and for possible action report on the Bailey on the 2021 financial audit and acceptance of report.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I will.
Caroline, we cut out for a good 30 seconds there. We did not hear you say what the agenda item was or Marietta's motion.
Okay, I'll restate it. Madam Chairman, I'd like to request under for new business item G that we postpone this item until next month so that we would have proper time to review the documentation. We just received it an hour ago, so we need proper time to review it.
So this, thank you, Member Henry. This would be the Bailey financial report for 2021. That's what you're talking about. Okay. Yes, it's a rather lengthy document, and I will entertain it. Is that a motion?
I just want to say that's going to require another extension with the state. And so the documentation that Mary had sent 3 days ago was sent out to you guys. It was this latest document that just came in this afternoon that was sent out about an hour ago. So I would defer to Mary and see if this is something that she could even come back for, or what would be the ramifications with filing another extension with the state. So I'd like to hear from Mary before we go ahead and ratify anything.
Yeah, it is due to the Department of Taxation by the end of the month. You would have to contact them and request an approval to get it extended till the end of February. They may or may not grant that. That's up to the Department of Taxation and their discretion. We have no control over that. We had sent the draft in, and I think Kyle had sent it out with the packet, the original draft. There have been no major changes since that draft, which final issue statements with the dates and signatures in it. There had been no major change in the original draft. Maybe a few minor wording changes, but nothing big. But if the department does not grant your extension and you do not approve this and get it filed on time, you could possibly it's a possible violation of NRS.
And just so
So I have a question. Why are we cutting this so close?
We had gotten it together and we had the original draft to Kyle on the 31st as required. of December, and then we have been going back and forth with the MD&A in our final review. They have to write the MD&A, and that takes a little time, and it took a while to get the MD&A back.
Caroline?
Yes.
Just so that the board has its full options available, keep in mind that it's totally the board's discretion whether or not to hear this agenda item today. An alternative to getting an extension would be to call a special meeting. Just wanted to make sure that the board has all of its options available.
Member Henry?
Yes.
I think just a possibility is we could go ahead and hear this report at this time. I am super, super uncomfortable with this. And we could hear from Mary Vermine Bailey about the presentation and then make a decision at that time. It just puts us in a really bad position, the board. So how about if we go ahead, if you would rescind your motion, and we will go ahead and then we can decide at that time whether to postpone it or and call a special session.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to rescind my motion so we can hear the report and decide at that time.
Thank you. So would you like to make a motion to approve the agenda as posted?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to approve the agenda as posted today.
It's been moved to approve the agenda. Do we hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Let the record show that Ian is here.
Thank you. Welcome. All right, let's go to item B, discussion and for possible action, approval of minutes, December 28th, 2021. Do we have any comments as far as the minutes? Okay, we'll do, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes as presented of December 28th.
For a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Been moved by Marietta and seconded by Brian. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C, discussion and for possible action, election and approval of board position, including chair, vice chair, treasurer, and secretary.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to recommend Caroline McIntosh to be our chairman again. She's done an excellent job of working with our executive director to achieve our tourism goals, as well as working on many, many grants for the city and our community of Ely.
I would second that. You've done a great job, Caroline.
Thank you very much. How about, could we even entertain just to keep that we have? So Marietta for vice chair, and then I believe Ian is treasurer and Brian is secretary. If I could get a motion for that.
I would make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Brian and seconded by Marietta to keep the same slate of officers for the 2022 year. So, any more comment on that? Hearing none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all very much. This is a wonderful and exciting board to work on. And especially when you see the tourism impact report for 2021, it's just a little bit overwhelming. Just what's been accomplished. So thank you all very much. Okay, item D, discussion only review of the financial report. Kyle?
All right, I'm going ahead and bringing that up on your screen right now. So does everybody see that? All right, I'm hearing the nods. So pretty much on this report, what you can see is we collected $157,700.60 from the hotels, motels, but there was $38,956.51 that was from November that was collected, and then there was also the $4,828 $1,011.66 late penalty. So in addition to the $2,088.96 that we collected from RV parks and campgrounds, tourism collected this month $159,789.56. In the next document, we went ahead and adjusted that to show the actuals. And so let me pull that document, let me try to find that one. That's the sideways budget. Okay. Okay, just scrolling. There we go. So on this form right here, you'll see that the actual of what we collected for December room tax was $120,833.05. And so that was 52.8% above where we were at this time last year, because last December we were at a little over 79,000. So really great December, and then we adjusted the November room tax. So the one up here, $165,097.43, that takes into account the $38,000 that was a November room tax. So what you're looking at in this document here is adjusted actuals for the months that the room tax was actually earned, not just collected. But it still shows that November was 42% above where we were at this time last year. So 2 great months for room tax. The third document is just more for your reference. We put this in periodically, but because it was December and the end of the year, it shows what each one of the hotels, motels collected per month, and then the monthly disbursements to the train, the city, the golf course, and the taxation bureau. So, looking at the budget, and I apologize for this one coming in sideways. If you have the paper documentation, then that's easier to look at, or you can stand on your head sideways. But essentially, for our income, we're at 77% where we were budgeted, for what we were budgeted for. So, I mean, we've still got 6 more big months ahead of us, and we're well over 75% what we thought we were going to be earning for the year. If we go down into our expenses, I just want to point out that the Tour and Rec events is overspent right now at 105%. But Tour and Rec events are our events, and those are the events that we're incubating for new events. So I know we're going to be doing an augmentation closer to the end of the year, so I'm not worried about that. We really only have the Indoor Cornhole Championship as one of our events that we're doing before the end of the fiscal year. So there'll be a little bit more money coming out of that budget. Let's see, the taxes and insurance has been the same for this entire time. Pretty much everything else, though, is still under budget. So right now we're operating at a $287,355.92 operating surplus. Is there any questions?
Thank you very much. It's pretty phenomenal on our November and December. I mean, really phenomenal. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on those? Hearing none, we'll move to item E, discussion and for possible action, approval to ratify payment of bills. And at this time, I want to disclose that I will be abstaining from the Val Lumber bill since I'm a part owner in that business. So we will go ahead and on item E, and the bills have been checked, and if I could hear a motion to accept.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we pay checks 10704 through 10752 minus check 10727 in the amount of $148,091.58.
Is there a second to this motion? Thank you, Brian. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll accept go ahead and indicate by saying aye for acceptance.
Aye.
Any opposed? And and I'm also an aye on that one. Motion carries, thank you. Let's move on to item F, discussion and for possible action, approval to ratify the payment, the bill to Bath Lumber. Again, I'll be abstaining on this one.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we pay check 10727 to Bath Lumber in the amount of $1,394.86.
Is there a second? Thank you, Ryan. It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. I'll indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then Judy, I abstain on this one. Thank you. All right, let's go to item G, discussion and for possible action, report by I. Bailey on the 2021 financial audit and acceptance of report. Mary, can you go ahead?
Yes, I can.
Does everybody see the screen share up right now? Cool.
What do you
Mary,
want me to do?
Mary, just direct me to whichever form you want to go for. We got this one, and we've got that one as well. And
I was wondering if you wanted to do that, or if you just wanted me to screen share mine where I can control it.
well, you know what? Why don't I go ahead and do that then? I'll make you hostess. And that.
I was trying to figure you out. Is it going to do it? Okay. Oh, the joys of technology. Put that over there. Let's see it. Can you see my screen yet, or
Yes.
is it coming through, Kyle?
Yep, we are good.
That's it.
Can you see the financial statements now?
Yes.
Perfect. My name is Mary. I work with I. Bailey to perform the financial statement audit this year. I want to start by thanking Kyle and Jeff and the staff there. They put in a lot of time and effort before we get there to get it ready, and then have to deal with us nonstop requests and questions the entire time we're there, getting us information in order to get this done. And it's been a joy working with them. We do enjoy going out there. It's a wonderful town and facility. So, and then we'll go through I'm going to go through some of the highlights of the financial statement with you this evening. We'll start with page 1. It's always a good place to start. This is our report on the financial statements. The first page goes through what our responsibilities are and what your responsibilities were as management for the financial statements. The top of the second page has our opinion. Our opinion is that these financial statements are materially correct and they're fairly stated. This year, you'll notice there's a paragraph right under that says correction of error. And we will look at note 11. It had to do with capital outlay and capital assets. It was discovered by Jeff during the year that an invoice had been paid in the prior year that was for a different entity, and they had to back it out. And so we posted a prior period adjustment to fix that based on that information. And then the other matters, this goes through, there's other information in the report. Some of it we do perform audit procedures on, some of it we don't, some of it we just read, such as management's discussion analysis to make sure that it's consistent with the financial statements. Starting on page 3 is management's discussion and analysis. This is always a good place for information. Kyle and Jeff put this together based on the financial statements. It's kind of more narrative, gives you an idea of kind of how the numbers fit together more of a narrative way instead of just dry numbers looking at you. And you'll notice towards the end of it, they even have a discussion on what factors have gone into affecting this year's financial statement performance and possibly going forward in the future. So it can be good reference for information. And like I say, that's something Jeff and Kyle spend lots of good time putting together for us every year. The actual statements start on page 10. This is your statement in that position. You've seen this most years. The one thing I did want to point out this year for you is this line that says Advances CARE Act PPP loan. You received 2 draws of the PPP loan during the year, one of which was forgiven. The other one has not been forgiven yet, and was not officially forgiven during the fiscal year 2021. You cannot recognize forgiveness revenue on that loan until it is actually forgiven. And the year it's forgiven is when you recognize it. So what you've got here in this 54 is the second draw that had not been forgiven as of June 30th, 2021. It stays on the balance sheet as a liability until the point in time it is forgiven. On the statement of activities, you'll see here there's a special item, CARES Act loan, PPP loan forgiveness. The 51 was the first draw that was forgiven during the year. So since it was officially forgiven by the SBA, it was recognized as revenue during the year. So I know those are new items. Anytime you see something so special, probably need to know what it is. So I wanted to go over why those amounts are that way for the 2 different draws and show up that way. The balance sheet for your governmental fund, nothing new here except for the PPP loan, as we've talked about before. It shows up in your general fund too, and you'll see it as the first loan as revenue. We're looking at usually a lot of times in taxation, say like 8% of unassigned fund balance of expenditures for the year is a good sign. Usually what most of them shoot for. You actually have 67% of your expenditures for the year in unassigned fund balance. You have a good, healthy fund balance to help carry you through, as you've found out the last couple of years with COVID, that was needed to get you through the hard times or any major unexpected repairs if something were to happen with the facility. So that's the good news, and a credit to the staff and the board for, trying to be conservative to keep things going and make sure there's money to keep it going in the future. I'm going to kind of jump towards the back unless you want me to go through every page, but we could be here for a while. I'm going to jump back here to page 22. We do have to do some testing with compliance with Nevada revised law statutes for laws and regulations. We did note during the audit that there were 2 functions that were overspent. They were over budget. The culture and recreation was overspent by $49,000. The intergovernmental was overspent by almost $231,000. There is NRS 354.626 that says you're not supposed to overspend your budget. So we are required to then note this in the financial statements. This is new this year. We did not see this in the prior year. The second one on here is the NC 354.750. You're required to do a capital asset inventory every other year, so every 2 years. It has not been done in at least 3.5. And this was included in last year's financial statements. It was reported, so that's a repeat of that. So need to just get that capital asset inventory done and then make sure it's done every 2 years. And then we're going to kind of keep going down here, page 31. I want to go with a note about the prior period adjustment that we talked about in the beginning. So it was identified that a capital outlay expenditure the invoice had been processed, the check had been cut to send, and it was recorded as an expense in FY20, the prior year. It was determined that that shouldn't have gone out. And you were able to get the check back and the money back. But we did have to post then back an adjustment to pull that expense out of last year. It resulted in the general fund balance being changed, the beginning balance to reflect that. The other thing we had to do is look at the capital assets, because it had been capitalized. It was believed to be part of the parking lot project because it was the same vendor, but it was not. So we had to restate construction, beginning construction in progress for the year by bringing it down the $14,775. So that's where that prior period adjustment came from, when that information was determined. On 34, this is another report that we're required to have in there as part of governmental auditing standards. We do review internal controls. We are not required to test them, but we do look at them, and we're required to report anything, deficiencies that we find to you as the board. And we do have a couple of